Hello, welcome to another time on I.inspire. My name is Toluwani, Akaehomen. Today I'm going to be talking to you about one of the greatest enemies of our lives. That enemy stands in our way. It stands in the way of our growth. It stands in the way of developing and becoming all that we desire to be, all that we set out to achieve. And that enemy is fear. Yes, fear. Let's name it and shame it. Friends, fear is terrible. Fear has torment. Fear is insidious. It creeps up on you and it completely disguises itself. A lot of times, it disguises itself as common sense, good judgment, procrastination, laziness, excuses. But at the very, very bottom of it, at the core of it, all of those things that you feel that hold you back and has been keeping you from doing the things that you know to do, taking the next step, going forward and taking action is fear. And today, I'm going to be speaking to you about how we can overcome that fear. Another thing you ought to know about fear is that it exerts a lot of power. And once it gets a hold of you, when it grabs you, it takes you to fight the fight of faith to overcome it. But you can overcome. Fear is deceitful. It tells you, I'm never going away. It tells you, I'm bigger than your dreams. I'm bigger than your goals. I'm bigger than your vision. I'm bigger than your desire. But that's a lie. Fear can go away when you know what to do. As I said, tonight, I'm sharing with you, or I'm going to share with you, some of the things that I've learned on how to overcome fear. Is there anything you're afraid of? Have you thought about anything to do? Have you thought about steps to take you to the next level? And every time you think of those things, something grips you. Or there are so many reasons that appear in your head that tell you, no, it's not possible, or no, it's not the right time. Well, I'll tell you something. The degree to which you feel fear is the degree to which your dream or your capability has potential. So, the greater the fear you feel, the greater the potential that your dream has to materialize. So, what should you do? I have learned to acknowledge that I'm afraid. You see, it's okay to say, I'm afraid. I feel I can't do it. That's fine. That's not the end of the story. It's you acknowledging where you're at that moment. And even God said to Joshua, be strong and be courageous, because he knew that deep down inside, Joshua, having been given the mantle of leadership after Moses, was scared out of his boots. But God, recognizing that, he said, look, you need to be strong. You need to be courageous, because fear is real. So acknowledge that fear. You see, I think in pictures. I'm a visual person. And when fear appears to me as pictures in my head. And I see myself being laughed at. I see myself with my head hung, dejected, because I aspired, I tried, and I couldn't do it. Maybe you are not a visual thinker. Maybe you're not a visual person and you think in words. And so fear appears to you in words. You can't. You will not. It's not possible. Whichever way fear appears to you, understand that you can stand up to it. So, list down one after the other what those things that you're afraid of. How does fear appear to you? List them down one by one. After you've written down the fears, the elements of the fears you have, you've put down the list one by one, you've named exactly what you're afraid of. Put down a strategy for attack, as I've done. So I have a goal for next year, which I've highlighted there, of starting a new business in 2018. And of course, just as you have, I have some fears. And I've put my fears here on this part. And my strategy for attack here. So I have fears, my fears in this area of the paper, and I've put my strategy here. What is your strategy for attack? You have to be clear about that. What is that missile you're going to launch against fear? Because it won't go unless you launch your own missile. So what do you do with that list? Every day, look at your strategy for attack. Don't let go of that. Be very clear and detailed. Don't take it for granted. Look at that strategy for attack. Don't focus so much on the fear. No, forget the fear. Look at your strategy. What are the strategies I've detailed? And continue to pursue that strategy for attack. And if you believe in praying, don't forget to pray. Because fear responds to faith. And when you pray in faith, something's got to shift. Also, let me remind you about what God said to Joshua. He said, "This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth." That was one of the strategies that God gave to Joshua to respond to his fear, or how to respond to his fear. So, even though God gave him the book of the law, the Word of God, as the book to continually focus on, I have also devised my own mini book of the law. I'll give you an example here. I have my book of the law somewhere else, but I said I'll give you an example so you know what I'm talking about. Develop your own mini book of the law. What should you do? With the strategy for attack, focus on the book of the law. Your book of the law is your book of your purpose, your strategy, your vision. And just very briefly, I read just the first line. I wrote, "I am afraid, yes, but my fear is greater." No, pardon me. I am afraid, yes, but my faith is greater than my fear. Fear comes at me to the measure of the greatness locked up in me, and to the measure of the greatness of my vision and dream. This gives me hope that I am destined for greatness and on the path of greatness. This is my mini book of the law, so to show you what I'm talking about. Do me a favor. Try all these things I've shared with you today. And you know what? Give me some feedback. Let me know if something shifts in the dimension of fear. So, my I-inspire word for you today is map out a strategy to attack the fear that plagues you now.